6 o'clock on the East Coast. So let's get started. Last week we have a big snowstorm, and this weekend we still haven't had a snowstorm, but fortunately, snow get melted. So let's just review what we did last time. We learned the loop. We can also call it iteration. Loop is so important in programming, and if you in the future get into the high school, if you take computer science classes and you do AP in the future, you will say loop is the biggest section for the school. The weight of the loop is the biggest in all the skills, programming skills. So that's why we really wanted to learn loop well, do it well. So last time we learned the simple loop. So today we are going to continue on loop and then do more complicated programming on it. So let me share my screen. All right, so this is what we stopped at last time. Um, Actually, it's the previous one. So you can find the smallest, okay, smallest or the least value in a list. Okay, that's what we did. And you remember, okay, this is the one. So today we're going to continue on it. So you can nest a loop in a loop. That means if you do a loop and in one iteration of this loop, and then you create another loop in it. So how does this work? Let me just show you. So this is a challenge to us. So we say you can nest a loop in another loop, and we have list, and this list is what we used last week, right? So that has six values in it. So we have this one. How can we sort this list ascending without using the built-in sort function? How can we sort it? Just spend like 1 minute. Think about this. So I have a list. How can I sort it? How can I use a loop to achieve it? If anyone has an idea, you can raise your hand, or you can just speak up and give me some hint on how we will do that. Yes, pattern.
Is there like a sorted code or something like we can just do sort and then like type in the list, the like list variable?
There is a built-in sort function that will help us sort. That's correct. But I really do not want us to use this sort function. I really don't want that we use it. So then we needed to write the Python code to do this ourselves. How can we sort it? Hunter, do you have any idea, any suggestions to me?
Could you turn the list into a loop?
Yeah, you can turn the list to a loop, yes. So once you turn the list to the loop, then what do we do? So, okay, so pattern.
Can you do like you give the list a variable and then like you can give it another a new thing a variable equals to like oh never mind.
Okay, so let's just think about this. Okay, actually, This is the algorithm, and when you get into high school, and how to sort it, actually is a big item in computing. So why I say it's so important, because think about, there are different ways to sort it. So the first, okay, when we do loop, last time when we do loop, we can find the list value, right? Once we find the list value, we put it into the very beginning. Then we go through the rest of the list and then find the list value, and then put it in the second position. And then I go ahead and try to find the list value of the rest, and then put it in the third position. That is the way to sort it. Okay, so if we understand that, that's one way to sort it. Okay, there are actually many ways,
Can
and
you
there are a lot of theorem about it.
explain that one more time, please?
All right. Let me see. Okay, so last week we can find the list value from the list, right? The smallest. Let me put it that way. The smallest value or the minimum value of the list. Last time we learned it, how to do it, right? So once you do it, you get the minimum value, and then you put it in the first position, all right? And now for the rest of the list, you find the minimum value again, then you put it in the second position. You keep doing that, keep doing it. So then you will have a sorted list, all right? So let me just show you something, okay? There are actually, this is the bigger theorem. I wanted to help you guys on it, but let me just show you something on theory. Okay? You see why it is so important. Sorting. Actually, there are many ways to sort. So let me just do this one. So you see, when we do sorting, right? So this just talks about two ways to sort it. So this is a selection sort. What I'm talking about actually is a selection sort. So just read this part. Okay, spend about 1 minute to read this part. This is a college course, okay, AP course. But how to sort it actually is so important in programming. So that's why we have to learn it. And this is just one of the ways to sort it. Does this make sense to us? Does it make sense? Very good. So you see, actually, it's not just one way to sort it. You see, there's a selection sorted. But this one, I think, is more complicated. So that's why I'm not going to teach you guys. So maybe you get into high school, it's easier for you to understand it. It's called the insertion sorted. And then I have another one, you see, different sort. They are all using loop, okay? So the other one, this is the most complicated one in the algorithm. Let me just show you, okay? So this, we talk about the selection sorting, searching sorting, and the selection sorting, and this one is the toughest. It's called a merge sort. How it works, this is a diagram. So that's too complicated. So I'm not going to get you guys into it. So let me just get into our code now. So, okay. So this is the code. So let me give you this code. I want you to run it. And then I can come back to also talk about why it works this way, why it works this way. And then I can explain it. Then I want you to change the code as well. So let me just give you the code now. And this using loop to do it, right? So get the code and then let me put my code in the PyCharm. Okay. This is my code now. That's the list I have. And you see this is one loop. And then you see another loop. It's nested in the previous loop. Okay, I want you guys to get the code. So now let me just run it. All right. Let me just run it. Sorry. I need to run this one. You see this is what it looks like now. After I run it, you see it is sorted, right? Okay. I wish every one of you run this code, and then you can come to change the value of it. You can add more values to it and change some values to it. Make sure this still works for you.
Mine looks different for some reason.
Okay, let me stop it, and then now can you share your screen to me?
This pops up when I try to run.
What pops up? I did not see it. Oh, okay. Did you change anything on your computer? If you remember, okay, if you remember where you installed the Python, can you just move your mouse to the right? You see this in the gear there, right? There's a gear icon. Move to the right, down. Yeah, click on it. Click on it. Then you need to just tell it. Yeah, the first one, yes. The first one, edit. Do you get a pop-up?
Yes, let me share the screen again so you can see it.
You need to remember where you installed your Python, okay? Okay. Can you close this window? Okay, let me share to you, okay? So if you have a problem with your interpret, I don't know why you got that. Maybe something changed on your computer. So like what we did, you come to File, and then Settings, okay? And then you find your project. You see my project called AOE. Find your project, check project interpret. Okay, then here, see if you have it. If you do not have it, you see I have it. It tells me where my Python interpreter is. If you do not have it, click on the gear and just click add. Okay. And once you get this pop-up, you want to add the interpreter, you just choose this one. Okay. And then click on the three dots. Okay. Try to find where you install your Python. For me, I installed my Python here. Right? I go to my Python, then choose it, and then I click OK. And usually you will just say make this available to all projects. So in the future, You don't need to worry about that. So just click on it, and then click on OK. You should be okay. Okay, but you need to remember where you installed your Python. Go ahead and do that. Right.
Can
so
you
for
show
the
it
rest-
again?
What?
Can you show it again, please?
Do you say settings on your file menu?
I don't have a file menu.
Okay, then I will have to help you after the class, because I cannot put the whole class in waiting. Sorry about that. Go ahead and try to find why you do not have Python interpreter. That's the only way to do it. Okay. All right. So you need to get your file menu out. It's just like in the viewer. If you say viewer, you should get your file menu. All right. So let's move on. So for the rest of the class, does it work for you, or does the code work for you? So it sorts the entire list. Even if you change the value of the list, it also sorts it, right?
Mine doesn't have an answer.
Okay.
Me too now.
Can you share your screen to me, Catherine? Okay, can you run it again? You run the test pad, right? You need to right click in this one, and then say run. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Okay, now you just try to change the values there. Add in more values, see if it works for you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So let me just now explain the code to you. So it works exactly the way as what we talked about. Okay, you see here. So the first time I equals 0, right? So once I equal to 0, now I come to check the rest of the area. So that means from 1 to the end of the list. So I loop through it, and then I will check if I is larger than j, right? J starts from 1 to the end. The first iteration, when you come to this loop, it's 0. So as long as xi is large, then I will swap it. I will swap the j value, the value at the j position to I. So make sure the first one, the first iteration, the first one now gets the least value. Get the least value. After I do it, and I finish this loop, it will find the least value from all the items in the list, and then swap it with the first position. And then now I equal to 1. So you start here from 2 to the end. So you try to find the least value or the minimum value in the rest of the list, and then put it in the second position. In that, you see, this is a nested loop. And this is the selection sort. Selection sort. So you are trying to get the list value into the first position. Now, once the first position is chosen, and then you start from the second position, keep this going until you finish the entire list. So you use 2 loops to do it, right? Does this make sense to us? Does it make sense to us? Very good. All right. So if you understand it, that's very good. So we just move on. So you know, use the loop. You can do this sorting, and the loop help us achieve it. All right. So let's just do a little bit more. So this is the quiz now. What is the output of the following for loop and the range function? Okay. What is the output? I want you to put your answer into the chat window. Do that. Everyone, do it. You can choose A, B, C, D, E, okay? Very good. The answer is D. All of you did it correctly. That's very good. So now let's move to the next question. Okay. So what is the, let me just type in something here so I can know that you are doing it. Okay. So or not. Okay. What is the value of X after the following nested for loop completes its execution? Okay, this time I get a different answers. So I choose the student who get the right answer. I will ask the students to help me explain. So Catherine, so the B is the right answer, and you does get the right answer. Can you explain to me? So why you choose B?
Because the first thing you do is the for the loop, and the I is the variable, and then it's the range in 10.
Mm-hmm.
So then for J in range J is another variable, and then in the parentheses is -1, -10, and -1. So
Okay. So you see here, you will loop here 10 times, right? And then within this loop, for each iteration, you will loop 90 times, because when you do range, -1, -10, -10 itself is not included. So you will only loop 9 times here for each iteration. So 9 times 10 makes it 90, right? So that's why B is the right answer. Okay, so let's move on. So another form of loop, and so far we learned the for loop. Another loop form is a while loop. This is different from the for loop. It is determined by the condition if another iteration is needed or not. Okay, you see this while loop. So I have the count variable equal to 0 first, and you see here, I will say if count is less than 5, I print out the count. Then I increase count value by 1. I do the incrementation. If you do not have this statement, you will have an infinite loop. Okay. So remember, every time you get into the loop, you want to change the value. So eventually this condition will not be satisfied. So the code will exit the loop. So the computer will exit the loop to do the rest of the work. So let me give you this code. I want you guys to run it on your computer. Right? I want you guys to run it. So this is the loop. Let me run it. It will print out 0, 2, 4. Okay. You see, this is what I got. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you change this one, if you do not have this, if you comment out this one, I want you guys to comment out and run on your computer. You'll see what happens. Can you guys go ahead and do that and see what you get? So when your computer complains, then you just click this red square button to stop it, okay? And you will see 0 will be printed out all the time. And the computer is very busy on it. So you have an infinite loop because you does not change the value. Alexia, let me see your screen. Let me see what you are running. Okay, you are running a different one. Can you right click on it? Right click in this. Right click in this window. Not there. Move right down. Yeah, run it. Yes. You see that?
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, good. All right. So I really want you guys, to try that so you understand what is an infinite loop, and be very careful when you write a loop. Okay.
Excuse me. Can
Yes.
you please go back to the slide about the while loop definition? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Are you guys good? So I can move on. So this slide is what I just mentioned. So infinite loop. Please change the code in the while loop, either the condition part to use a while true, or remove the part changing the counter value. See what happens. Should use see what happens, not say. Okay. And that you get an infinite loop. So the loop will not end. Okay. And that's not good if you have an infinite loop. And if you are developing a very useful application for a bigger company like Amazon, you get into trouble. Amazon, like every second, it may get like millions of dollars of order. Once you have an infinite loop, then that application is very busy. It will not be able to take in any order anymore. All right. So do not write infinite loop in your application. You have to stop it to make sure something will happen to change the condition. All right. Now let's learn another thing. So if you have a loop and you really do not want to finish all the iterations, and how can we do it? How can we break a loop? So you see here, you use the break statement. Always see the break keyword. And you see if we count equal to 2, you break it. All right. So now let me give you the code and I want you to run it now. Okay, use this code, and you see the loop is broken. So let me run it. You see, when the count equal to 2, the loop is broken. It does not continue. So that's why you do not see 3, 4 were printed out, because you put the break statement here. So once it equals to 2, then the loop is broken. So it jump out of the loop. It jump out the loop and finish it. Okay. Can you all try that? See if you guys can break the loop. All right. So let's move on then. Here is a break loop. You can use a keyword break. All right. The break statement breaks the loop. It will jump out of the loop and continue to the code next to the loop. We do not have code here. We do not have code here next to the loop. If we want it, then you can see it. Okay, we just say, let's see, print end of loop. Okay, let me just put it there. Now let me run it. You say print it up to, and then it jump out of the loop and continue executing the scripts after the loop. You see now this one is printed out, right? End of loop. That is printed out. Are we good so far? Any question? You know, I really want you guys to turn on your camera so I can see you. Because it's too quiet. I really do not know if you really got it or not. If you can turn on your camera, then I can see you guys. At least I know, oh, you got it. You're good on it. Very good. All right, so let's move on. Very good. So, okay. So the break statement breaks the loop. It will jump out of the loop. Okay, and then continue the code next to the loop. So you can try something of this. I don't want you guys to try this one. Oh, I think probably I want you guys to try this one. Just make sure it works. Okay, try this code. Because I'm going to use this code for another statement. So let's do that. Then patterning, very good. All right, go ahead and run this one. You say, what does this do? You say, I'm going to from range 2 to 10. If the modulus value of n to 4 equal to 0, I will print out something. I will say n equals 4. Actually, it's not, okay? There's only one case it equals to 4. And then it will break out. Then you see what happens, okay? So let's just do this. You say 4 equals 4. Code after the loop block is now executed. So you jump out of the loop, right? You jump out of the loop. When the modulus value equal to 0, break out. So you jump out of the loop. Try this. So then we will learn something new. Okay. So unlike a break statement, the continue statement, terminates the current iteration. and it goes to the next one. Okay, the loop itself is not broken. Only the current iteration is broken. Okay, only the current one. All right. So can I ask you to do something? So let me just do this. Okay, let me put it here. So in the code, so I change this to continue, right? Continue. All right. So I will do this. Okay, I will need to print out something here. I see print. Right. So what I'm going to print, I'm going to print out n, and then print out. Okay. Not in the if block. Right. So you see what I meant. Let me just delete this one. You see now. So this statement will always be printed out. Okay. So it will always be printed out during the loop. But you see the continue really makes difference. Okay. So first thing, let's run this one, and I will point out why I printed this out. So let me just do this. Okay, you see here. So you see this range, 2 not in the if block, 3 not in the if block. But when you see 4, you do not see a statement here say 4 not in the if block. Why? Because you run into continue. Once you get it to the continue, it will ignore whatever left in this iteration. It will jump into the next iteration. That's 5. Okay. It will jump to the next iteration. So if I do not have the continuous statement, let me do this one. Comment it out, you see what happens. You see, if 4 equals to 4, 4 not in the if block. Okay. So this get prints out. But if you have the continue, so when the system run to continue, it will see, I do not care what left there. For this iteration, I will jump back to the loop for the next iteration. So that's why you do not see 4 not in the if block is printed out. Let's try that. But you see 5 get printed out, 6 get printed out, but 4 skipped because you have continue here. If you change this to the break, try that. Change it to break. What happens? So you see 4 equals to 4. And then it breaks out. The entire loop breaks. It's not the current iteration. The entire loop. Okay, let me stop here. And then let me just see you guys, see if you have any question on this. Do you get that? Does it make sense to you, April? Very good. How about you, Hunter? Hunter, does it make sense to you?
Yeah, I think so.
Very good. All right, Alexia, I see you raise your hand. Do you have a question, or you
I
think?
got an error.
Okay, can you share your screen to me? Mission 5. Print Okay, the reason is that the indentation, you remove one space before the print, so make it at the same level as if. Yeah. Remove the space before it. Too much. Yeah, now it should be okay. Right? Make sure the indentation is correct. All right, so if it makes sense to you, that's very good. Let's move on. So you know the difference between continue and a break, okay? So I wanted to get Alexia. Do you mind help me read this slide because it's very important.
Okay. Both break statement and continue statement are applied to the loop they belong to. It has no impact on the parent loop. If the loop has a nested child loop, break will jump out the current loop and the child loop will not have a chance to be executed after break. Continue may ignore the child loop depending on the position of the child loop.
Okay. So you see the continue, if the continue is before the child loop, then when you get to continue, that child loop will not be executed until it gets to the next iteration. Then it will have the chance to be executed. Okay, that what it meant. So you understand the difference between break and continue, then should be straightforward to us. All right, so let's just do a quiz. Let me prepare it. All right, so let me see. Yeah, go ahead and type in your answer in the chat window. If you do not remember what does pop Adam do, you just go to look for Python dictionary and find out pop Adam. So let me go there, okay? Let me go there. Python dictionary methods. And let me go there. So you'll see pop Adam. Right, so now let's come back to see what is this. So I want to see your answer now. All right, I see different answers, but I see most of you get it right. Ryan, can you explain your answer? Ryan.
So for the while loop, it checks whether D still has any items in the dictionary. So while that is true, it pops each item in each entry in the dictionary, and when there are none left, it prints done. So since there are no more entries in the dictionary, it prints out none at the end.
Good, very good. So the right answer is D. Okay. All right, let's move on. Because the pop will do this first. Pop up this, remove that first, then remove this one, then remove this one. Okay. All right. Which type of loop iterates until instructed otherwise? So can you guys just put your answer? All right, so Hunter, you get the right answer. Can you explain it? The right answer is D.
So you said today that while loop is infinite unless you use break, which means that it'd keep repeating the function until you use break to get out of the loop.
Right. So let me explain a little bit more. So the for loop, it will not, usually it will not be infinite. The reason is that you usually just use an array or a list or dictionary. You have limited items in that object. So that's why for loop will not continue to loop forever. Okay. So while loop, so as long as the condition is satisfied, they will keep going until you tell it not to. So how do you control it? You have to use that condition to control it. For loop, you do not need a condition. Get the first one, get the second one, get the third one from a list. Then it stops when you exhausted that list, right? So that's why we see what answer is D. Okay, move on. So as unique as Python is, Python loop has an else clause. See code below. Then change break to continue to see what happens. So let me give you the code. Okay. Let me give you the code and I want you to run it. Then we will explain it. Let me give you the code now. All right. You go ahead and run this. After you run it, I think it will help you understand it. You say I have a for loop, right? And I use break here. And then I have the else statement. Else is at the same level as the for. And then first you run it and use break. You see what is printed out. And then you change break to continue. You see what is printed out. Okay. And then if you have question, you can ask, and then I will explain it to you. I will have a slide to explain it to you. Go ahead and run it. So let me run this one. All right. So now let me go to continue. And then let me save my code and run it. All right. So if you run those, change it to continue. And then let me get April. Can you read this for me?
An else clause is executed only if the loop is executed without any interruption. Please remove either break or continue from the loop block and see what happens.
Yeah. So if your loop finish all its iteration, then the else statement will be executed. If you break it, then the else statement is not executed. So this is a good check. So you say if I'm a teacher, I'm trying to email every student, then I put my student's name in that list, and then I send that email to each every student, and then finally I have the else statement. I just will put my code there, say email has been sent to all students. So somehow if my loop broke, then it will not print that out. So I will notice that there's a problem. There's a problem there. So that's why you have the else clause there. Python has it, Java does not have it, okay? So this else clause is very important for us, right? Very good. So let's just do a little bit more. The last statement called a pass. Why do we need a pass? Pass actually does nothing. That's nothing. But in Python, you need to have a block, right? If you do not want to do anything, if I remove these two statements, you see, system will complain. It says, okay, this is a block. You do not have the code for the block. Then what do? I will just say pass. So the pass does not do anything, but you put it there, so you help form a block. So make this legal. Make it legal, okay? Without it, it's illegal because you do not have code for that block. So this is just like an input thing. You do nothing here. Okay, so you use pass. Okay, it's just used to satisfy the syntax requirement. All right, so this is an example. You can use it for condition as well. You say if else, right? Just pass, do nothing. But make it this else block legal. So you have code there. Okay, all right. So the last thing I think is just an access. Let me see. I have such a list. Please write a loop to find the red and then break the loop. Print out all colors before red is found. Let me give you this. Okay. And I want you guys to try it. Give you 4 minutes to do it, okay? Does that just mean if the color is red, then you break? You can just use the code I gave to you before and make a modification. This is one of the example, okay? Just do modification. Then I will ask two students to share.
Can you show the instructions again, please?
Let me put the entire instruction in the chat so you can have that. And I will give you this example here. See this example code. Right, so now let me stop it. And anyone who finishes, you can put your hands on. Anyone finish? Okay, so let me just move on to the homework. So let me give you the homework, okay? So the homework is actually not hard at all. So please take a user input value, integer value 0 to 30, and assign that value to x. Set a variable y's value to 10. Then check x value in your code. So you say, what does the user input? Check x value. If x is less than y, that means what the user input is like a 0 to 9, okay, whatever it is. If x is less than y, loop in from 0 to x and print out n plus x within the loop. So what does it mean? If the user input is 5, so now you should loop from n0 to 5. Okay, you just see range 5, right? And print out n plus x. So first n is 0 plus x is 5, that's 6, right? And then n becomes 1 plus x, that's 5, now it's 6, right? And then when it's 2, and then print out 7. Okay, so that's what it meant. All right, so next one. If x is no less than y, that means x equal to y or x is larger than y, then loop in from y to x. Y is 10. Okay, let's say x is 15 now. So you print out n minus y. Okay, so you need to loop from 10 to 15, right? So firstly, n is 10. Okay, y is 10. That's 0. Then n is 11 minus y. That becomes 1, right? You keep looping until n reaches x. X is not included because when you use range, right? Okay, so please run your code and make sure there is no bug. All right. So I will give you this as homework and want you guys to finish it. Okay. Any question on the homework? Yes.
What do you mean by the loop n to from y to x?
That means, okay, let me show you. Okay, what did I mean? You loop in from y to x, right? If y is 10, x is what the user input. If x is 15, then this will be a loop like that. For n in range 10, if the user input is 15, so that is loop n, right? So if x is less than, right? If it's less than 10, then let's say it's 5, range 5. So that's what it means. Okay. Any more question? Yes.
Can you post the homework and the recording of this class on Google Classroom, please?
Yep, I will post the homework in the classroom.
Can
Yes.
you also post the recording in the classroom?
Yeah, I will ask
Send you
Miss
the
Key to
recording,
do
yeah.
that. Yes. Right. So if you don't have any more question, I have another class coming up. So let me turn the class back to Miss Key.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Yan. As Peyton, we will send you the recording and also the slides. Yeah. Thank you. Bye. So the class is dismissed. If you don't have questions, you are good to go. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.